Just came back from a Publix grocery haul and had all these groceries on the counter. And I said, you know what, let me set the camera up. Wanted to do a quick video. I'm starting to get back into my diet. I've been meal prepping. I've been weighing my food out. Obviously, there was a little hurdle through the holidays with family and stuff like that coming over. But I'm really looking to gear things up into the new year. Try to get back on my fitness journey. It's been, I don't want to make excuses, but business has been very demanding. Life has taken a toll. And things are a lot more complicated than they once were. Wish I can go back to that time where I was just lifting weights and not really worried about anything else, but I've taken on more role and responsibility, so there's a lot that comes with that territory. But I am, finding my way back. I've been eating a lot cleaner. I've been cleaning up my food, and now I'm getting ready to gear up for this week, and I wanted to make a video because I just went shopping in Publix and dropped an arm and a leg on food. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what I typically shop for. Because when I diet down, I keep things very simple. I eat very simple. I eat a little bit more on the plain and boring side, but I know it works for my body and I know it works quick. So I want to give you guys some tips. Full disclosure, before we get started, I don't eat any seafood. I never have. The smell, the texture freaks me out. So this is what I eat as a guy who doesn't eat any seafood. So I try to make the best out of it. I use certain things to make things taste a little bit better. But it's a lot of chicken, a lot of turkey, not reinventing the wheel here. So guys, let's jump right into it. So I just went to Publix and re-upped on everything. The only thing not seen here in my carbohydrate intake is gonna be my cream of rice and my Carol Rose white rice. I buy in a 20-pound bag. I usually typically get that in Walmart. They have it in they don't have that in the typical rice section. They have it in in the foreign section with Asian food, usually on the bottom of the bags, on the bottom shelves. So that's usually what I use for my white rice. Once I tried that white rice, the guys on the team put me onto it. I haven't went back. So, but other carbohydrates, I am a type 1 diabetic. I do like to use white, higher glycemic, starchier carbohydrates. I feel like it works better with the insulin. Sometimes those lower glycemic carbs, they have a longer glucose curve, and you could take some insulin for it. If you're taking a fast-acting insulin, you'll see that it'll start to work right away, but then later on, you'll get that drift where your blood sugar will start to go and get raised, depending. I usually have a pretty good grasp on it. I have a really great HbA1c. So, like I said, I'm very in tune with my body, and I know it works well for me. But there's a tremendous amount of regular russet potatoes here. So to go with my cream of rice, white rice, I'll have some white potatoes to keep things fun and interesting as a carbohydrate source. And then we'll mess around with that. We can make them mashed. We can microwave them as is. We could just bake them. So there's a bunch of different ways that we could play around with that. For the rest of the foods that I have here, like the grilled chicken, chicken breast, typically mess around with this Springer's Mountain Farms. It's the closest thing I found over here to Bell & Evans. It's not organic, but it's full, free range, no antibiotics, no hormones or any of that good stuff. When I get this, I notice that it doesn't shrink as much on the barbecue. I know that when I cut it, it's not a tremendous amount of fat on it, so I'm really liking this brand. If you wanted to get this one at Publix, I have a bunch of it over here, a bunch of Mountain Springer's chicken. And if you wait every couple of weeks, sometimes they go on sale for a little bit. So, especially if it's a little bit more on the short dated side, which isn't a problem for most of the bodybuilders because they're eating chicken so much. Another thing that I do is to change the texture up. I do Green.Wise ground chicken. So the ground chicken, it just gives a little bit more of a different texture. You can marinate it. Sometimes I'll put teriyaki on there, barbecue, Asian sauces and things of that nature. We'll stuff them in peppers just to really just break things up from the conventional chicken breast. But you get the same amount of protein content in here, I believe, and really easy to cook if you just want to throw it in a pan, as opposed to, cutting, filleting the chicken, rinsing it, washing it, maybe marinating it, putting it out on a barbecue. Ground chicken is another great source that's really easy to run with. So the next thing that I go to is ground turkey. Grind.Wise makes a ground turkey. I don't do the 99% ground turkey. I know it's almost fat-free. I'm not worried about putting on a little bit of body fat at the same time. More worried about getting my meals and eating healthy. And I noticed that 93% definitely cooks a lot easier in the pan without a tremendous amount of olive oil or coconut oil or whatever you cook with. So I know the 99% is ideal, but it's a lot harder to work with. Another thing that I eat, yes, I do beef and steak often. Grass-fed beef, can't go wrong. Like you can marinate this with a bunch of stuff, keep it simple, throw it over rice. I could have it with a potato. It's just very versatile for me. I mix up peppers and onions inside and I'll cut it up and I'll throw it in there just to give it some extra flavor, maybe some sea salt and call it a day. Outside skirt steak, I do outside skirt steak a couple times a week. And the reason why I do outside versus inside, if you guys like a little bit of a tougher, chewy texture and cheaper price point, inside skirt steak will be for you. If you like a little bit more of a softer, leaner, outside skirt steak is gonna be the way to go. It's a little bit more pricey though. This right here, it's actually only $22.99 a pound. Like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, this was at like almost $29.99 a pound. So it looks like the price of meat might be coming down a little bit. But yeah, outside skirt steak is the way to go. So as far as marinades and stuff like that, I mess around with some of these barbecue sauces. I found this Kinder's barbecue sauce. Really like this, just a really well-rounded barbecue sauce. Sweet, not a little spicy, but just like that mid-range barbecue sauce. We found this and we fell in love with it and we stock up on that. I pretty much put this on a lot of my stuff, whether it be chicken, whether it be the ground turkey, ground chicken, grass-fed beef. Another thing that I really like here is this Larry's lemon pepper. So sometimes with my chicken breast, what I'll typically do is I will throw maybe 2 pounds of this in a slow cooker, and then I'll put a little bit of chicken broth in the slow cooker with a little olive oil on the bottom so it doesn't burn, cook it for 4 to 6 hours, and then I throw this Larry's lemon pepper in there, the entire bottle. And when it comes out, after it's pulled, it just completely makes the chicken taste like something else. So if you're a person like me who doesn't eat a lot of seafood and you're hammering away at chicken and turkey all day, you gotta find ways to make it fun, which brings me to my next thing. Well, let's talk about, before I jump ahead, let's talk about eggs. I don't do anything crazy with the eggs over here. I keep it simple, whatever is gonna be the cheapest at this point. I know some people do the omega-3 eggs and all that stuff, but I buy these public eggs over here. I buy them 30 at a time, and we go through them relatively quickly in my household. I typically have eggs with my breakfast meal. Sometimes I'll split up my grass-fed beef with some whole eggs. I'll scramble them. When I scramble them, though, I don't cook them anything wild. I just spray the pan with an oil, and that's it. Scrambled, throw them over my grass-fed beef, or I'll just have, scrambled eggs all together. So what I usually do to make things a little bit more spicy is I will do a lot of peppers and onions. So I was a very picky eater. When I was on prep, it would just be like meat and potatoes. And peppers and onions were a lifesaver for me. I think my taste buds changed when I was prepping, and I was willing to try new things. When you're in prep mode and you're going around and you're looking at different foods and you see stuff, and it gets to that point as you get a little closer to the show, and you're like, oh, I would try that. That looks good. And it's something that you wouldn't normally eat. Yeah, that was me. So peppers and onions, I found out there was nothing in here that was going to affect me during prep, and then they became like a lifesaver for me. I was eating a tremendous amount of peppers and onions. Typically what I'll do is cut them up small, throw them in my foods. I'll mix them in with my steak. I'll grill them in the pan. I'll put them on the barbecue. I do all sorts of things with this stuff. But peppers and onions, garlic is another one, and sea salt are like the main things that I use for seasoning. Obviously, I'm not in any type of prep situation, so I can mess around with seasonings like this, like the barbecue sauce or the Larry's lemon pepper. So as far as fats go, I do take in healthy fats. I have avocados here. Avocado is probably gonna be one of my #1 sources of healthy fats because it's something you could actually eat. So typically I'll consume a couple ounces of an avocado, maybe half of one, depending on the size of them, or maybe one's a whole small one. I love to throw that in my grass-fed beef and white rice. That's like one of the most ideal meals for me. Typically, 6 to 8 ounces of grass-fed beef, 1 to 1.5 cups of white rice, and then like 2 ounces of avocado. That's one of my most ideal meals. I could probably eat that multiple times a day without a problem. Another fat source for me is going to be Skippy natural peanut butter. I got the natural peanut butter back in the mix now, trying to clean up a little bit. I was hooked on that Peter Pan honey roasted peanut butter, and I'm sure people, as I posted it, rag on me a little bit, but I'm going back to the Skippy natural. I'm not going with the full natural peanut butters. They're just a little too plain, a little too boring for what I'm looking to do right now. And typically what I'll do is throw these in my protein shakes to make them a little bit more appetizing. Another source of fat that I use is going to be the olive oils in salad. I was a very picky eater, like I said. I typically didn't eat salad often, and now I started incorporating red onion, arugula, olive oil, lemon, and in a salad. And I've been having salad multiple times a day, just to try to trim down, get the stomach back in check, and get everything under control. As far as anything else that I'm missing here, oh, protein shake wise, you know, I use commissary, my whey protein from Labz. That's gonna be one of the easiest things on the stomach. It's a hydrolyzed isolate and concentrate, easy digesting, smooth in the mixture, flavors are amazing, great bases. I'll typically do that with almond milk, and I'll do that with like a peanut butter, and I will throw some sort of fruit in there. There will be some sort of fruit, whether it's bananas, strawberries, or something along those lines. More of a banana guy. Every once in a while, depending on the workout, I'll throw a tablespoon of honey in there if I feel like I'm coming home from a workout and I'm going a little hypoglycemic, which does tend to happen to me being diabetic. I will throw something in there for a simple sugar that will hit a little bit faster. And then for a little bit of a, you know, lower glycemic insulin spike, I'll throw something in there like our C Block 10. I can make something as a meal replacement. If I do a meal replacement, I'm looking for a real longevity curve inside that glycemic index. I'm probably gonna go with oats. It just, to me, it just has the longest blood sugar curve. It's the most filling on the stomach. And then obviously adding healthy fats to that, like a peanut butter and stuff like that, will help you really like replace an actual meal. But when I'm looking for like protein to hit me fast with a carbohydrate to get some sort of insulin spike where I have to manually manipulate, but what you would normally do is you would want to put a little bit of a simple sugar in there, a little bit more of a power carb like a C Block 10, obviously your protein, and then, you know, some sort of delivery system like to dilute, whether that be water. Water would be the best choice, but for the situation that I'm in now, where I have a little bit more flexibility, I'm gonna do almond milk. It just gives a little bit more of a creamier texture, more palatable for me, and it's something that I like. And obviously, guys, while you're dieting, you wanna find and do things that you're gonna like, and so you can be consistent. That's the main thing here. The name of the game is consistency. Something that I've been struggling with for a little bit, and I'm trying to find my way back. And this is my grocery haul for the day. I don't think I missed anything. I'm looking around right now. Yeah, so I got some almond milk. I told you guys about the Carol Rose rice. Told you guys about the cream of rice that I eat. My other carbohydrate sources, potatoes. Those are pretty much it. I mean, it's a little boring. I could do rice multiple times a day. I think when people start to like overcomplicate and over-engineer the diet, it becomes a little bit more challenging to keep up with, right? So that's why I keep these things very simple. I would love to do a video behind this to show you guys how quick I cook some of this stuff. And if you saw me, you'd be like, wow, this is down to a science. Like, I can cut and fillet this chicken, rinse it while I have things in the pan, potatoes in the oven. I've learned to do this so it's not complicated. I notice when people start to get crazy with their diets and everything has to be pristine in this type of way, this has to have that, there's a lot of garnishing and, you know, condiments involved and marinating and things of that nature, it becomes a little harder to do. I really don't look at food as a luxury we have to eat. And the luxury for me would be something like outside skirt steak, filet mignon, things of that nature. But, you know, organic free range chicken and stuff like that, I'm good with all that stuff. If you keep it simple, stupid, and you're consistent, you can see what's working and what's not working. If you're getting too fat and you're hitting your cardio hard and your diet's there, you know, maybe you pull peanut butter out of the protein shake. You know, you start with little increments and little changes and you just watch over the couple of weeks and adjust. But you want to make sure you're doing everything on all fronts. I like to keep this simple because it takes the guesswork out for me. All right, I know I'm eating a certain amount of protein. I know I'm eating this amount of carbohydrates. I know I have this much fat. And then as I'm training harder and harder and harder and the body's adapting and changing, I'm increasing my cardio, kind of see where I'm feeling and how I'm looking and how things are transforming. And then just, it's so much easier to adjust that way. So guys, going into the new year, trying to lose some weight, put on some muscle, do yourself a favor. 1, be consistent. 2, keep it simple, stupid. Don't overcomplicate it. As you go and you get better and better and better and this becomes boring and this process is like not even, takes all the guesswork out, then you can start adding another layer in there to make things a little bit more complicated or a little bit more fun. Like I said, I could take chicken and cook it 10 different ways and have no problem eating it every single day. I've done it. I've done it for months at a time. My first bodybuilding show, I wasn't even a big steak eater, like, to be honest. I remember having like, it took me a while to come around to even eat turkey. I remember eating grilled chicken like 4 or 5 times a day. So, I mean, and it worked because I got shredded not knowing anything. And this is 2007. You know, we didn't have access to social media with all these contest prep coaches. And, you know, I had to find, the way I found my first Coach Factory was the guy that beat me on stage the first time. The guy that beat me on stage was a lot more conditioned than I was, and there was a big difference between first and second. Thank God I didn't win first, because I would have came back in the show after that and I would have done terrible. But this guy beat me by, you know, a landslide, and I got in touch with somebody from another gym who knew him from another borough, and he got me in touch with Thackeray, and you know, then I learned the game and what it entails to eat a little bit differently. But some things have never changed, right? Like being consistent, trying different things, also trying to have fun with it, right? So like I said, you know, marinating your chicken in all these different ways. You know, some things are gonna have a little bit more sodium, pay attention to that. Some things are gonna have higher fat contents, pay attention to that. Don't overcompensate with like half a bottle of barbecue sauce on your grass-fed beef because, you know, you want the taste, because you're gonna be getting a lot of sugars and fats in there as well. So just keep that in mind and keep it simple. See what's working, make the proper adjustments. Ask for friends, you know, advice if you have people who are in your corner that really know what they're doing. And like I said, you know, keep it simple. That's my biggest goal. So going into the new year, I advise all of you guys to start cleaning up the diets, getting fired up, getting motivated. Obviously, this is the first and foremost thing. I used to say this when I owned my supplement store. Supplements are supplemental to a diet. So before you start going crazy, and normally a supplement store or supplement brand owner would never tell you this, but this is where the nutrition starts. Everything else comes after this. Your amino acids, your creatine, your protein, your pre-workouts and fat burners and things of that nature. If this isn't working, none of that other stuff is gonna really help you out. So this is what I recommend doing. If you're looking to get on your New Year's resolution goals, or if you're just looking to make a crazy transformation, or if you're struggling to find like consistency, start here. This is gonna be the way to go, and then evolve from this process and get better and better and better. Add a little bit more, add a little bit more, add a little bit more, and then you'll see after doing it over the course of a couple of months that it becomes relatively easy. And then what you do is when you go to the dark side and you cheat or you fall off for a couple of days, or you have multiple meals back to back dead, or you didn't plan and prep, you know, properly, you'll see how it affects you. And then you'll run right back to this, because this is becoming the new behavior. This is becoming the new norm. And that's even for me now. Like even now, not being a competitive bodybuilder, going to the gym and not getting it in the way I used to get it in, I still, from these times where I was prepping and I was competing, like I still don't eat like multiple, I don't have bad days. Like I don't have back-to-back bad meals. It just became a way of life, and it's the way I eat. I don't know if it's because I'm diabetic or from being in prep, but I feel a lot better when I eat cleaner and I eat more consistently. The metabolism gets booming right away. The muscles start transforming right away. So this, guys, is where I'm looking to get back to. This is where I'm at right now. Over the next couple of months, I'm gonna put out more video content like this to kind of show you the process and where I'm at. And then hopefully I can make a dramatic transformation. And I'm gonna do it with all the tools that I have at hand between regular nutrition and supplementation. So guys, look forward to it, appreciate it. I know it's a little bit of a long-winded video. I'll get shorter and sweeter, and the videos will get a little bit more entertaining and exciting. So have a good time. Mike Drovic, out.